Welcome to a little bonus episode. As we're recording this, there goes Dad's watch. As we're recording this, news has just come through. Dylan Brown has told the Eels he'll be heading to the Knights. 10-year deal, $1.3 million a year. The richest deal in NRL history, Matthew, which is a big call. There's been a lot of big deals lately, salary cap going up, and I imagine there'll be ratchet clauses in there with the next CBA deal, so it could go up in the next 4 years as well. Mm-hmm. Are you surprised? First question.
I'm not surprised he took the deal. I think the moment Coops that they offered the richest deal in rugby league history, I knew he was on his way there. It was always going to be honestly, 10 years, $30 million with ratchet clauses. I don't know how much they go up, but I believe that if it goes up, 30 or 40%, that his doesn't go that far. But let's talk what we know now, $30 million for 10 years.
Yeah.
As soon as that offer was on the table, I'd have been shocked that if he didn't take it.
You know what I was surprised by? Why play round one without signing that? What if you'd gone out there and did a long-term injury? Do Knights pull that offer? Well, it was a risk as it was. Storm go out there and put 40 on him in the first half. When I seen that scoreline, I was thinking, are the power brokers at the Knights thinking, are we going to pull this contract before he signs it? Because
I'll pose this to you, which could have happened. I mean, look, he could have got out there in round one and been in a team that got flogged and was really quiet and didn't do anything.
Yeah, and they did. Well, they didn't.
That's what happened. And then you sit I was watching the game last night. I'm not being a smart ass here, but when I watched that game, and I sat back, I came back and watched it again last night just to get a feel of the young, Parramatta players, just have a look, get a feel of how shell-shocked they were. I watched it again. I'll be honest. In my mind, I thought to myself, I wonder if the Knights are thinking about pulling the deal.
Yeah. Well, apparently they checked with them. Apparently the management reached out and said, "Is this, what does this mean? Does this change the offer?" And they obviously went, "Nah." So we went.
Strange thing for management to do, isn't it? To ring and say, it's almost saying, guys, it's almost saying, 10 years, $30 million. You saw Dylan play to that. Is that still kosher?
Yeah, that's what. Well, it was a no-brainer for him to take it after this, and to go another 6 weeks without Mitch Moses. I don't know if that Eels side's going to,
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that later about what it means for the rest of the
year.
What
about from a Knights perspective? What kind of player do they want him to be? What are they expecting? He's now the highest-paid player in rugby league next year. What are they expecting from Dylan?
Well, Coop, when you pay a player $1.3 million a year, you want that player to be a Nathan Cleary, right? You need that player to control the tempo of the game, to control a contest, to be able to organise your team. Crucially, though, they want you to be the player in the biggest moments, in the biggest games that you're going to deliver. That you're going to be the bloke to get them home in really tight games, in big games. Dylan's not that player at the moment. Dylan may never be that player.
Yeah.
Dylan's a player who can have great impact on a contest, but firstly, he needs someone to control that contest, right? And then he can step up and make his mark. But he's not an organising halfback. What Newcastle need at the moment, and what I thought was the next step for Newcastle, is to buy a really quality 7 who can steer the side around the park and be that person who can really control the game and can get them home in those tight situations. That's what I thought the Knights were after, because that's the sort of player that the Knights need. Now, at this point, I'll repeat that, at this point, Dylan is not that type of player, but he may never be that type of player.
And those type of halfbacks, they're all locked long term, you know what I mean? Jerome Hughes comes off at the end of 2026. Nathan Cleary, he doesn't look like he's going anywhere soon. Cherry Evans is probably going to retire after 2025, 2026. What I think about Dylan is, what I hope doesn't happen with Dylan is he's a top 5'8" in the game, right? He's not the best 5'8".
Okay, top 5. Right, let's go through a little bit. Better than Jerome Luai?
No, I don't.
Better than Cameron Munster?
My top 5 right now?
Yeah.
It is Munster, I think Dearden, I think Luai, and I know he's had a quiet year last year, but I think Ezra Mam gets the bump on him as well. I think he comes in at 5. I think he edges out Brooksy.
Righto, okay. You've got Ben Hunt has moved to 6 at the moment, not usually 6. Okay, I get that. Look, let's think about some of the other
I think the only other one that could potentially pip him is Burton, but I think Brown probably just gets it over him.
Okay. put me on spotty. I'm just ripping through some of the sides. But, yeah, but...
he's a top 5'8" in my opinion.
Am I happy that the Knights have signed Dylan Brown? I'm happy that they've signed Dylan Brown. Dylan Brown is a good signing.
Yes.
Paying $13 million for 10 years for Dylan Brown isn't good business.
No. Particularly when
they paid dramatic overs.
Yeah. And what you just said is what they need is that halfback. They need someone who's going to take control of this team, not just on the field, but off the field in preseason, come together with a whole squad and get a system that is going to make them into a premiership team. Dylan Brown knows what his strengths are. Dylan knows he's a good defender, he's fit, and he's an excellent ball runner. Dylan is never expressed to be, I'm a lead. I go out there and I organise all this shape. He knows what his strengths are. He's played like that the last 5 years. Yeah. For him to get that sort of money, unless that's what they think they want, but I don't think it's what they need.
We're going to make something perfectly clear. This is not criticism of Dylan Brown in any way, shape or form. We are stating facts.
Yeah.
Dylan Brown isn't a controlling, organising player. Dylan Brown is a tremendous runner of the football. He's a player, in a lot of ways, a player who's still viewed with great potential. But I don't think he'll ever be that controlling number 7 type player. He's just not that type of player. It's not him. And the thing about it is now, is I still look at the Knights and say, what do the Knights need? The Knights still need a really strong 7. At the moment, we've got a lot of 7s there, but they're after a really high quality 7. Like that sort of that guy that can control and organise, can take the team on their shoulders. Dylan 1.3 million, Kalen 1.5 to 1.6. We're going to get it. The money you're going to spend, you're not going to have the money for that type of halfback.
Yeah. They're now the 2 highest paid. Next year they'll be the 2 highest paid players in the NRL. Yeah. Kalen is right now, and him and Dylan will be next year together.
The 10-year deal.
Do you like that aspect?
No, I don't. I don't like 10 years. I don't think 10 years is good. I don't think 10 years is good for either party. There's so much water that's going to pass on the bridge. I think the only 10-year deal that's really turned out great was Daly.
Yeah. But Taumalolo.
Yes, Taumalolo. I would say each way you see that Taumalolo, sort of his knee and injuries have got the better of him at the back end, but... Yeah, Tamalolo's
at the start. He was $1 million was cheap for him.
Well, actually, at the start, you're starting to say it was a bad deal for him.
Yeah.
That one sort of equated out. Daly's worked, but Daly, again, we're talking about a guy who is a controlling, pure number 7.
Yeah, he does all the kicking,
like a quarterback type.
Yeah,
that's what it is. So, but 10 years now, I don't like 10-year deals. And particularly in this case because they've paid overs on it, Coops.
Yeah. What about Dylan Brown as a player individually? Taking this contract aside, do you like him as a player? Do you think he's...
So since he came into grade, I do like him as a player, but I still view him as a player of potential. Yeah. Like for me, he hasn't fulfilled a lot of the potential he has got in a lot of it because he's a top quality player. And by me saying he hasn't fulfilled all the potential he's got, then people would say, well, it's a good signing from Newcastle, but there's no guarantee that he is going to fulfill that potential. Most footballers don't. I do like aspects of his game. I like it when he runs the football. Yeah. I really like that when he can isolate players. I think sometimes he worries too much about aesthetics. No look passes and that. I don't like that side of his game. At the end of the day, it's the old, which I say a bit, just win, baby. Don't worry about how it looks. Just get out there and win.
I played a lot of footy against Dylan. I played my debut against Dylan. I played a lot against him when we played Para, and he's a quality player. Hard to handle. Such a gun player, but like you said, he's not. When we've come against him, doing video on him, you don't have to worry about the main threat with Dylan is his running. You don't. It's not. Moses has done all the kicking for Para for a long time. Yeah. His main threat is the running and support play that he's got. So. To pay someone that high money on for what his strengths are, like you said, it's...
Coop, I'll come back to the point. Do I like Dylan as a player?
Yeah.
I like Dylan as a player. Do I like Dylan as an organising, controlling halfback? I don't like Dylan as a controlling, organising halfback because he's not that.
Yeah, and you hope they're not trying to turn him into that. Because if you try to turn somebody whose strengths are that into... a halfback, it takes away from what got him into first grade in the first place.
Okay, let's have a look at that. Like the difference between 6 and 7 is significant, right? So let's have a look at Luke Metcalf, for instance. And he was a hell of a player. Great runner of the football, Coops. You know, when you talk about runners of the football, he's one of the best, like Dylan. But when you're seeing that Warriors game, the moment he was named in 7, I just said, is this not going to work? Right? It's not going to work because Luke is a deputy. Dylan is a deputy. When you put that 7 jersey on, there's a difference between the 6 and the 7. Right? It's a different kind of pressure. And watching Luke in Vegas when I'm watching, before the game, I was chatting to Braith and I said, you watch the first thing that's going to disappear from Luke's game, it's going to be his running.
Yeah.
Because he's been forced to organise, right? And the first thing that disappeared was his running. He was trying to finesse the ball around. So if you're going to say to Dylan, right, we're going to labour you with all these responsibilities, push the side around the park, then what can happen? And I mean, if you went out, said to him tomorrow, righto, mate, we're playing this week. Listen, Dylan, what I need you to do, mate, I'm going to need you to push this guy here, organise that. I can guarantee you his running game will just disappear. I like him as a football. I don't like him as that side of it. And I come back to the point is that we've seen evidence in the fact that last year he's 7, you know, the chief playmaker, Mitchell, when he was out, they needed Dylan to be that controlling, organising halfback, and he couldn't do it. It's not his game.
Yeah. Well, even like, and we spoke about that before. This sort of money for a 5/8 is Munster money, right? A bloke who has played big games, but you take Munster away from having an organising 7. Munster tries to do a similar thing. He becomes the main man, and sometimes he goes away from his main game running. We've seen it in years gone past when Hughesy's gone down, or if he's playing without that real traditional 7 who's taking the reins, it takes away from his strengths and he doesn't play his best football. When he's got Jerome out there with him, Munster worries about one thing, and that's Munster.
Yep, that's right. And that's when Munster plays his best football. Remember when Munster came up years ago and he was here and we're trying to turn Munster turning him into a 6. Not turning him into a 7, turning him into a 6. When he was playing fullback, Billy was coming back and he and Adam O'Brien and Billy came up and we're talking about it. Munster was having just huge anxiety attacks about putting the 6 jersey on. And he was like, Matty, I can't organise. I can't, I won't be. I said, don't have to be. Cronk's going to look after all that. Cooper will look after all that. Munster, don't even worry too much about counting numbers, right? If you look up, you see someone tired, or you look up and you just get a bit of gut feel, just call the ball and go. And that's how he plays football. Even now, if you said to Munster, listen, like you said, Hughesy's out. Listen, mate, I need you to go out there and just organise the whole team. He'd go.
Yeah,
he
money wouldn't do it.
He would get anxiety, and look what he's achieved in his career.
Correct. The best thing, and we talk about the Storm often, but the best thing about the Storm is when you get there, you have a pen and paper, and you write down what do you think your strengths are, and what are your weaknesses, and the whole thing is they help you find what is your strength. You try to strengthen your weaknesses, but you never try to take away from your strengths. No. Your strengths are the thing that gets you into the NRL, and working on your weaknesses but continuing to understand your strengths and keep bettering them is what keeps you there.
So, Coops, and people will listen to this, and Newcastle might answer this back by going, yeah, but guys, we just want him to play Dylan Brown football. We just want him to run the football. And I say, okay, I totally get that. But do you pay that type of player $13 million?
No, I think that's...
Quarterbacks get the big money.
Yeah.
Running backs get dramatically less.
Yeah, right? and hats off to his management for doing that. And
the All Brothers, they've done a fantastic job. The other saying guys have got 10 years for Tamalolo. They've done a fantastic job for Tamalolo. They've done an incredible job. I'll be honest with you. I think when Knights went forward with the offer, I think they would have went away and gone, my God, they wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah, I think. Well, you've seen it a lot years gone by, right? The demand for halves is so scarce. When you find a good half, the best teams lock them up long term, right? You're not just seeing Nathan Cleary go to the open market or become a free agent.
Unless Bulldog Richie want to chase his heart.
Go for love, chase Mary. But you rarely see them come off as a free agent. So when there is one like a Dylan Brown who's a top 5 in that position, clubs are forced to pay significant overs if they want to get him, which is... we're going to see the impact on the Knights roster in the next 3 years. What do you think? What kind of impact are you going to think for that?
Well, they're going to have to shed some people now, haven't they? You know, there's probably some big deals. I mean, they were talking about it recently. Some of the money that the players are on, you know, they're going to have to get rid of some of them. I think Jackson Hastings might be off at the end of this year, so that will be cleared. But Coops, I'm not privy to, you know, how long, who's exactly off contract, but they're going to have to shed some. They're certainly going to have to shed some timber.
The problem,
the big one is, like, I look at the best young player we got coming through at the moment. There's some really good juniors coming through, but the one who's standing out is Fletcher Sharp.
yeah.
Now, Fletcher's not going to play fullback because Caelan's there, and they had him earmarked to be a 6, and he's doing a hell of a job at 6. I wonder what's going through his mind.
Well, what if he comes out this year and has an excellent year at 6, and they go, wow, now we've bought a bloke for 1.3. Like, what does that mean for? Again,
people might answer that by saying, and they might say, well, that's perfect. What you do is you leave him you put him at 6, you have Caelan at 1, and you put Dylan Brown at 13. Mate, he could play 13, but again. Do you pay give
money?
13 $1.3 million? It's funny. I had conversations like during the off season with Rylesy, just casual conversations. You speak to him quite a bit. And he was just asking about a couple of things, and I actually said to him, I said, if you've got a really good 6, a young guy who you think can handle 6, I said, I actually think Dylan could play his best football at 13. And he was like, okay, you know, it's interesting. You don't have to defend him in the middle. You can defend him on the edge like 13's used to defend. I think that would suit his game the most because it actually would go, right, a little bit of ball playing, mostly running. But again, I come back to the point that, you know, for a 13, we're coming back to all the time. I understand supply and demand as far as halves are concerned, but it's halfbacks.
Yeah.
That's halfback money. That's Nathan Cleary money.
Back to the Knights roster as well. I think what you're going to see, particularly with if you got Caelan and Dill on such big money and taking up their salary cap, you almost, not that you don't want players to grow, but let's use Jack's old roommate, Dylan Lucas, for example, who started off the year outstanding.
And
they're talking about
Laurie Daly looking at him as an Origin squad player.
Yeah, and would do a job there, right? If he plays State of Origin, next year, all of a sudden, he goes from quite a low-tier contract to being worth a lot more. And because you've paid such big money and sort of mismanaged your salary cap, they're not going to be able to afford that middle tier of players. Yeah. You're going to lose a lot of that. So which they've put a lot of, you know, coaching and stuff into him, and then they're going to lose him out to other clubs who've got salary cap freed up.
Well, they tell me the Knights salary cap's out of whack anyway, so this throws an extra layer of complexity in it.
I tell you what, the only thing I do like from the decision is, don't you hate it when people say, oh, we got a 5-year, 3-year plan for the squad? What them getting Dylan is now, it clearly says that they want to win a comp next year. Like, they want to win a comp now.
Look, let's be honest, everyone wants to win a comp.
Yeah.
They've gone in with serious intent.
They've gone in hard. Like, they've to the point where it might damage them in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Look, and Peter O'Sullivan's a fantastic scout. He's scouted some of the best around, and he's loved Dylan Brown for years and years and tried to land him at different places. He's obviously, without a shadow of a doubt, it's quite obvious he's a massive fan. And one thing Sully has realised is that Newcastle needed a big kill. The 10 years, $1.3 million, the absolute desperation of that has come about because the Knights have tried to land some big players in the last few years and haven't been able to do it. In fact, they've lost important players like Leo Thompson. They've offered, I think, more money to Leo than other clubs, and he decided to leave. There started to become a stink on the Knights. You don't want that.
Yeah.
And they've gone, righto, we're going to go after Dylan Brown. But if we're going to take one step towards Dylan, we've got to go all in. And now they've gone all in and then some.
Yeah, definitely. What about for Parramatta now? So Parramatta next year, they lose Dylan Brown. Who do they chase?
I got mail. They're going to go hard at Lockie Galvin.
Yeah.
So the Tigers now. As soon as this deal was done, I think the Tigers are now up on their toes and they'll be trying to lock up Lockie Galvin, because the other thing about too, Coop, is expansion teams are about to come in.
So is he off next year, or is he off for 20? I think he might be 2026.
But I think there might be one of those clauses. I'm not sure. But I've been told that they're going to go at Lockie Galvin. He was a Parramatta junior.
Yeah.
Parramatta fan growing up. Not that means that much, but they're going to go after him.
I don't
know who else. But with expansion coming in,
yep,
mate, they've got to lock up someone quick. Actually, there's a lot of clubs that need to really get moving, because they're going to be left empty-handed as far as playmakers are concerned.
I reckon a couple others, I think 2 that come off not potentially next year. I know Jerome Hughes is 2026, who'd be a big get for him. He could play 5'8" alongside Mitch Moses. But Tyron Wishart as well comes off, Tyron's still got a lot of footy in him. He can play basically anywhere, but he's shown last year when Hughesy and Munster were out for a long period of time, he can play at a high level in the halves. I think he'd be a good one. And if Daly Cherry Evans wants to go around for one more year, I mean,
it'd be crazy if he doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't they throw a lot of money at him now that it's freed up?
You know, I can't help but think. I wonder what, as a family member of ours, I wonder what he's thinking at the moment.
Who, Andrew Johns?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. If we had a better relationship with him, we could ask him.
We're getting there. I almost feel like I want to ring him and go,
just
mate, get you on the podcast. Tell us what you think.
Just pick his brain.
You know, look, he's a fan of Dylan Brown's.
Yeah,
he's worked with Dylan a little bit.
Yeah,
but if I mean, you can say this about a lot of players in different clubs over the years and everything. But you go 1.3 for 10 years for Dylan. What would you pay Joey?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He. That's if you asked him, he would think that. He'd say, "Well, what am I worth?" But this is the thing. I know he'd be filthy. If they had a half, if Jack Cogger, if he gets an outstanding year this year, and you go, Cogs is our 7 for the next 4 years, then it sort of makes the buy justifiable. We go, well, maybe they don't need a 7. They need that X factor 6, like a Dylan Brown to come. But you know, I know if you'd ask Joey, he would be saying the only people I would pay that sort of money for is Nathan Cleary and like Cherry Evans. Like they'd probably be his only 2 right now who we'd pay that sort of money for.
Yeah. I'd say the money you pay. Munster's pushing up that money because Munster, although Munster is an organising halfback, Munster has proven that in those really big moments, in the biggest games, he's going to stand up and he's going to win you the game. Like he's done it at every level. I mean, State of Origin is the biggest test, and there's been games on the line. I mean, his debut match, he's just gone out there and completely dominated. Yeah. You know, for him, he's that exception where you go, he's not a 7, but he deserves that money.
Well, you look, everyone in that Storm spine could demand over $1 million at any other NRL club, but I think Money's the only one that's over or on $1 million. The other 3 are underneath it. Yeah. Because they have to. Yeah. They know. Fit. You know, they have to fit under the salary cap.
Yeah. But it's interesting though. I was sitting up there with Mum when all this happened. And, you know, your mum's, you know, she'd be very happy if rugby league didn't exist. You know, not a rugby league person. Correct. She actually says to us sometimes, oh, man, I'm so sick of this game. But even I said, what about rugby league, huh? It is soap opera for men. She goes, I was just thinking the same thing.
I love it. It's so dramatic, isn't it?
It is.
We spoke about Parra's round 1 game. What did you think of the game just before against Melbourne Storm?
I said on the show last night, I didn't want to sound condescending, but I really felt for the young rookies in the team because – yeah, they'd never been exposed to that. No amount of sitting on the couch watching Friday Night Football, watching Munster play, watching Hughesy, Harry, Paps would ever get you used to going out there and actually out in the field and what hit them. They just come out round 1 Melbourne. They were fresh. It was a beautiful day, dry football, right up their alley. They're in the mood to attack.
And they haven't lost a game in round 1 in 20 years.
And Coops. Oh, I just looked at the young Parramatta players and they came out, they hit them with a barrage of speed, skill, and defensive physicality. They were gone. Like Rolsey could sit there, Coops, and he could sit all day. Put it this way, he shouldn't waste his time watching the video. Because what he's going to see in the video, he said, mate, why did that bloke turn in? Oh, that's not like him. Why did you do that? Mate, they were shell-shocked. Yeah. That's what happens when your eyes are on the back of your head and you've totally lost composure. They were like, there was no communication between them. They were like 13 islands just moving around shell-shocked.
Well, that's what Croak said on the podcast earlier in the week. He said everybody thinks they're going to win the comp just before round 1, and then you go out there with this massive plan for the season, and as soon as shit hits the wall and bullets start flying, you just don't know what's going on. You don't know what kind of identity your team is until the bullets start flying.
It's the old Mike Tyson quote, you know, in the fact that, you know, everyone's got a plan to get a hit in the face.
Yeah, literally. Well, I thought when I was at Manly, I thought we're going to win the comp. That didn't work out. We didn't even make the 8.
I didn't think he was going to win the comp.
Perfect.
Bloke, he had the 7.
I didn't. Yeah, Jerry Evans. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Some of the other games in round 1, Manly had a big win over the Cowboys. They were good.
They were tremendous.
Do you think
Just Turbo was good.
Turbo's outstanding?
Beat them ever across the park, beat them on the edges, beat them up the short sides. When he's at first receiver drilling through that middle, man, I haven't seen many bigger threats like it.
Nah, he seems like he's back to, and we sort of touched on it with his Aussie campaign last year, playing out of the centres. He was back to that 2021 Dally M form, and he just has hit the ground running this year as well. The same thing. He just looks robust and just fit.
It's a big week from now.
Yeah.
They've got to keep a lid on it, Coops.
Yeah.
Like Manly's hype builds very quickly and a lot of excitement around. Like Soobs, and I said this on myself and Cooper of the Cronk variety on our show. I just said it's really important that Soobs is too generous with his information sometimes. I look at their Soobs and he'll actually explain, mate, we're doing this, we're training that way. And I just win, baby. Don't tell anything. Yeah, keep it to yourself. I think it's going to be important for Soobs. They've got a really good start to the year. It's important for him and the players to just keep a bottle on it. Fly the old Des under the radar a little bit.
Correct.
Attempt to.
A little for people who watched the game, there was a moment where Dally Evans made a line break in the second half, and he went to chip and chase over Scotty Drinkwater with an open Ethan Bullymore on his left. I had a beer with the boys on Sunday at Corey Waddell's housewarming party. Bull had never scored a double in his life as well. He's seen like flashes of green. He saw $1 million contract. Cheza said, I had a dream the night before and all week. He does a lot of visualization. So he visualizes what he thinks is going to happen in the game. And then when he finds himself in that scenario in the game, he's already got the decision made up in his mind. Yeah. I think he's been doing it for a while. And he said during the week, I was visualizing making a line break and Scotty Drinkwater going like rushing me, and I chip a chase over the top of him and I regather and score under the post. So he said when I got into space, my first instinct was chip and chase. Drinky just saw it coming and he bounced in his hands.
Bitcoin Bullymore, he'd have been filthy.
Bitcoin Bullymore, mate, loves it.
I like him. God, he's an unusual man. When me and Fletch were sitting at it might have been it was Arthur Beaton's old pub in Fortitude Valley there, and we're just sitting there and we're watching the football and having a beer. And when sometimes it's like you feel someone staring at you or you feel a presence near. I just felt this strange presence, and I turned around. Bitcoin Bullymore was literally like 2 inches from my face, and went, what's going on? Yeah. It was literally terrifying.
Yeah,
he has got that serial killer look about him.
He has. And letting people know Bitcoin Bullymore, because he's an accountant, it comes from an accounting background. He got like high 90s or something in his HSC too. Wow. Very good with.
Oh, is that
well, he was up from Brizzy actually, whatever they call it. They don't do an ATAR. They do something else. But he on his day off, he works at an accounting firm for a big business in the city in Sydney. Yeah, he's great with numbers. It's about the only, but not much going on between the years other than that.
Apart from that, well,
yeah,
it's like there's a player in the league, right? There's a player in the league. I'm not going to say who it is. But when I've spoken to him a few times, and you go, like, everyone's got their strengths, I suppose, but this player, you talk to him and he's sort of not going on, like, I go, oh, yeah. And there's probably not a lot going on, but he can do a Rubik's Cube in like 20 seconds. Like, get it done. And that's where I go, man, that's an anomaly. What an anomaly. To not be the brightest person, but to be, no, don't.
Are you talking about the one who's my mate?
No.
Oh, okay.
Is he? What Brandon's like that as well?
Brandon Smith does it as well. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Brandon. I thought
no.
Brandon. No. Brandon can do a Rubik's Cube too. He's got a really addictive personality. So
who would believe that?
Who would pick that seriously? And he learned on YouTube how to do a Rubik's Cube, and now he learns like crazy shit. Like he's learned like magic tricks and all this sort of freaky shit before. He's a freaky man. What about the other game? The other big win during the week, Broncos versus Roosters.
I love the way the Broncos played in the trial game.
Yeah.
They backed it up. The yardage is terrific. It's built on simplicity. I thought their attack, you could just see Madge has put a little bit of science in their attack. The way they played, you can tell a team is prepared very well, and they're switched on tactically by the way they play their short side footballs, the subtlety. And they pulled off 2 or 3 brilliant short side plays, but Coops, a rock hard fit, mate.
Yeah.
Like you could see in the trial games, you could see they're a lot fitter. You just see the difference with big guys by getting really fit, what that does. So like Payne Haas was unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like his footwork. Something like, they said 11 tackle busts. It looked like more like 31.
And he was everywhere.
And Pat Carrigan.
Yeah.
They just, Coops, and I love the, like Hunt and Reynolds, mate. What a luxury to have two experienced playmakers.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But what I also loved about Haas, which was like the first time anyone's really used him like it, just because he's got a big engine doesn't mean he's got to be out there for 80 minutes. I loved how I think Madge had him on there for half an hour, took him off, put him on the last 25 minutes. It just allows him to go, righto, I'm out there for half an hour. Yeah. I'm just going to put all my energy into this half an hour, and I can I don't have to save myself in defense because they need me for attack. I can do all the little things in defense, go off, get a good breather, do the same thing for the last 25 minutes.
You know what I loved about Payne as well? It's the first time I've really seen him demonstrate emotion on the field. Like, there was a few times that I saw him turning and revving his teammates up. Payne, to me, always looks like people go, oh, he's a machine. That's what it's like sometimes. He's just, like, he's relentless, but I don't see him, like, emotionally giving a lot to his teammates. Mate, the other night, it really surprised me against the Roosters. I could see him G'ing them up, and I thought, man, he's really come on as a leader during this pre-season as well.
Yeah, I think they're in for a big year.
Good to see.
West Tigers, another Tiger.
Hey, man.
Knights beat them, but I thought they were really good.
They pinched at the Knights. I thought they were good. It would be a huge Jerome he's going to take a lot of responsibility this year, but without Appy there was a lot on his shoulders.
Yeah.
You know, that
they
7 tackle
and
kick.
Buller as well. Dream Buller, who's a freak.
I really like what they did. I thought they defended with a lot of energy, which means their attitude's good. They got a lot of desire. Terrell May was good. With Coruscant coming back into the team and Buller, they're going to have a good season.
Yeah, I think so. And like the knock's always been on them. They made a lot of errors in that game, but for the first time in years, they actually had the ability to defend their errors. They were resilient defending their try line, and they turned away the Knights. The Knights looked frustrated the first half. A couple of times, Bradman Best. They just defended him well and sort of stopped a couple of tries on the left-hand side. Yep. The Knights looked pretty rattled. They were lucky to get the win at the end of the game.
Can I just say something?
Yeah,
360 is about to start. Okay. How about we go and watch it?
All right. How about, do you want to go through the tips just for this week?
Yeah,
quickly?
Sure.
How about that? I don't want you to miss out.
I don't want to miss Buzz.
I know. And
tomorrow night I don't want to miss Bulldog.
No,
Bulldog will be all over this
Bulldog
like a cheap suit.
Knights versus Dolphins, round 2.
Oh, this is tough, mate. I like the Dolphins, but Knights at home.
Yeah, I'm going Knights as well. Warriors, Manly in New Zealand.
Expect a lot better from the Warriors, but Manly.
Yeah, I think danger game, but I think Manly. Panthers, Roosters. I got Penrith.
Panthers, mate, out in Boomtown. That's what I'm calling Penrith. There's a good song called "Welcome to the Boomtown."
Yeah, well,
and I said to Charlie at Fox Sports, I said, mate, use it in a big home game. Penrith, welcome to the Boomtown.
Yeah, you tell a lot of people songs to use for the Fox coverage, and I've never heard them listen to you once.
Well, let me tell you something. Last year they used John Lennon's Instant Karma once. Boom.
Yeah, I heard they had record number of complaints. Dragons, Souths. Tell you what, if you asked me last week, I would have said Dragons. This week, I think Souths.
I think Dragons.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think Dragons. I think Dragons will get it done.
Cowboys, Sharks.
Sharks.
Yeah.
I've got grave concerns about the Cowboys season.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sharks. Raiders, Broncos.
Terrific game, this.
Yeah, I think the Broncos are going to be too classy, though.
I think the Broncos, but the Raiders will give them a lot of cheek. It's a good clash of styles. The Broncos, big pack, and those fast-moving little blokes from the outside backs for the Raiders. I'll give some cheek, but I think the Broncos.
Yeah, and then the last game, Eels, Tigers.
Tigers.
You reckon Tigers?
It's going to be very, very interesting to see how Riles uses Dylan Brown.
Yep.
From here on in, because he'd be filthy.
Oh,
you won't say it, he'd be filthy. And look, we don't begrudge Dylan taking it. You don't, mate. They offer it. It's life-changing money for him and his family. But Parramatta fans, they might give him a bit of a razzing as well.
Yeah, I reckon they're unforgiving old Para fans. Yeah. Anyway, Matthew, go and watch Bulldog.
Yeah, let's go Buzz, mate.
And Buzz, sorry.
Buzz tonight.
Yeah, anyway.